What's up, everybody? Another wonderful Monday night of Chewing the BBQ Fat. Holy smokes! We're gonna have a fun show tonight. I can't wait. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a lot of stuff going on. Like the page, share the page, get it out there as much as possible. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm trying to find it right now so I can share it myself. But anyway, I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Barbecue season is here. I mean, I tell you what, it's among us. Everybody's getting fired up about it. They're going down to Texas to cook at all these different rodeos. They're coming down to Georgia, going down to Florida, all over the place to cook barbecue. And it is going to be an absolute blast. I can't wait to see everybody. If you're coming to Sip and Swine next week, man, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great time. We are cooking. We are partnering up with Robert and Robert Van Wright Lex, and we're going to cook as Chewin the BBQ Fat. So Smoke Me Silly, Atlanta Barbecue Store are teaming up. We are going to be chewing the BBQ Fat. It's going to be fun. There's absolutely no pressure on us, and it's going to be awesome. What's up, Trey Terry? How you doing? You'll be there with us. It's going to be a great time. Trey, share the page for me. It'd be awesome. But anyway, Houston Rodeo is going on this week. What an awesome contest that's going to be happening. Before I get into that and our awesome guest tonight, I wanted to talk about what's going on. I was able to do a barbecue class this week. I didn't do it. Let me rephrase that. We were able to sponsor a barbecue class this weekend, and the GBC class. It was a great class. A lot of fun, a lot of learning going on, and it was good to see everybody. Scott Park, Carrie Chastain, Margaret Weather, all y'all did a great job. Good, Kenneth. I can't wait. Robert said you'd be coming. I can't wait to see you. Sitting at home trying to mentally prepare for the start of the season. Jordan, come on. There's nothing for you to mentally prepare for. You finished last season on a hot streak. I mean, come on. You are the guy. You're the man. You got what's going on. We all know it. You know it. But it's good to see you a couple weeks ago too. Anyway, what's up, Larry? I'm sure it's a wonderful afternoon there in South Jersey. 53 degrees. Too cool. But anyway, I hope everybody had good. We're getting started. This is got to bring home the RV, get it ready to go, because I get to be like some of these other guys that cook all the time, and I get to cook barbecue, and it's going to be an absolute blast. I hope I don't embarrass myself. But anyway, all of that being said, I'm trying to share this a little bit more so I can get it out there. And then, what's up, Jason Hardy? How you doing? Oh, I do need to talk about something. As you all know, we've had the store for 5 years. I do believe 5 years is today. President's Day is when I talked to Randy Boswell and decided that I would take over the Atlanta Barbecue Store. So for 5 years now today, on President's Day 5 years ago, is when Ellen and I decided to take on and take over Atlanta Barbecue Store. Hopefully we've done a good job. Hopefully it's been good. Hopefully you all continue to use us. We appreciate everything that y'all do. We have the best customers in the business. We love it. We're awesome. It's great. In that, we had, if you watched last week, we had a giveaway. If you shared the page, liked the page, did all that kind of stuff, you were in a drawing. Cole did a drawing this week. What's up, kid? What's up, everybody? Golly, it's so cool. Cole pulled the number today, and it was Tony McGee. Why Not Barbecue? Awesome job. Congratulations. I'm pretty sure you're going to be at Sip and Swine next week. We will bring that gift basket to you. Tony, congratulations. Way to go. Thank you for your support. We appreciate it. Hopefully you're watching. If not, shame on you. You're missing a great show. But anyway, David, good to see you. Brian Payton, I'm trying to count your money so I can save some. There you go. Yeah, thank you all. Mark Porter. Yep. Anyway, great to see everybody. Let's get started, because what's up, Brent? This is what everybody cares about. They don't care about me. They care about these wonderful guests that I have coming on. And I tell you what, when you know the biggest people in barbecue, Chris Schaefer, I mean, you call him and you say, hey, will you please come on? Sure. And then he says, you know what? I got somebody that's a little bit at my level. Maybe I don't know if he's at his level or not, but hey, Fred Robles comes on. So here I am. I got these giants in barbecue coming on here to talk barbecue tonight. How y'all doing?
All these fat jokes.
All these fat jokes. Yeah. It's all good though. It's all good. I prefer to call it barbecue sexy.
Barbecue sexy.
That's great. Brian's like, you still on for tonight? I was like, I forgot that I was on for tonight. And I was like, who's on? He goes, just you. I said, hang on a minute. Hey, Fred, you want to play at a barbecue show? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, me and Fred.
Let's do it.
You're like, of course I want to come on and hang out with Brian. He's a great guy. I love that guy, right?
Yeah, let me bring Fred.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, Chris. I can always count on you to keep the show going. You're normally in the comments, keeping it all rolling for us. But tonight, I got you here live in person in Houston, correct?
Yep. Just got here this morning.
Fred, you're set up too, correct?
My trailer's there, yeah.
Yeah. There you go, the trailer.
Yeah, but you forget, Fred's the kind of guy, though, he's so big time. He has people drop his trailer off for him. He gets to stay home and hang out and whatnot. I got to be here.
It kind of just all works out that way. I don't know how it works out. It just happens.
The funny thing was, Dad said today, Bill Purvis had my trailer, and he went and dropped your trailer off. And Dad's like, he probably could have just went and dropped your trailer off too, and you could have came out of Wednesday. I was like, man, why didn't I ever think of that? He already had the trailer.
You're not there. You're not at Fred.
Yeah,
I'm not Fred level. I'm dollar store Fred.
Dollar store
Fred.
Love it. Dollar Store Fred here on the Dollar Store Barbecue Shows. So, Chris, tell me and I'll let you talk too, Fred. What does it take to get on Champions Row at Houston Livestock?
It's really cool, actually, man. There's, Houston. There's like 300 teams, right? Isn't there?
It's something stupid. Yeah, it's a lot of teams.
So they take 5 champions, man. You got to win Houston the year before. You got to win San Antonio. You got to win Austin. Fred's private jet. You got to win the Jack. Helicopter. Or you got to win the Open at the Royal. So it's the Jack, the Royal, Houston the year before, San Antonio, or Austin Rodeo. Which, obviously all of them are so hard to win. San Antonio, Austin are both monsters. Houston's a monster. So it's cool to be on Champions Row with those 4 other guys there.
That's awesome. And Fred, which one did you win to get there?
San Antonio. I won San Antonio last year, so last year's winner gets to be on this year. Bill Purvis ended up winning San Antonio this year, so he'll be on Champions Row next year. So, I won San Antonio last year.
Nice.
What's cool is, I've been cooking at Texas a lot. Not a lot, but a decent amount, trying to practice for Houston and things. And I'm learning that San Antonio is really like the most sought after, or one of the most sought after comps in Texas. Like, I figured it would be Houston because the KCBS guys think that Houston's like such a monster, but all these Texas guys, they want San Antonio. So that's a big win for Fred and for Bill.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think San Antonio is actually the largest cook-off right after the American Royal Open in the States. I think they had 300 plus this year teams. So yeah, San Antonio is a long-standing traditional cook-off. 3 meats. Houston Rodeo for a long time it was just a 1 meat contest. So a lot of teams, teams didn't. Well, you could cook whatever you wanted. You could cook chicken, ribs, or brisket, but they would only let you cook one, not unless you were on Champions Row. If you were on Champions Row, you could cook all 3. But every other team there could only pick 1 meat. So there was years where ribs won the thing, or chicken won the whole thing, or brisket would win it all. Up until recently, and don't quote me on this, but maybe 6-7 years ago they changed that to where everybody gets to cook 3 meats.
Well, in my opinion, it was also kind of a shady operation because there'd be 300 teams that could only cook 1 category, but the guy on Champs Row could cook all 3 and have 3 chances to final. And I was like, wow, kind of stacking the deck there.
Yeah, making the champions, right?
Yeah. Right. So that's like Memphis in May, or MBN, or I guess Memphis in May. You cook 1 category there at Memphis. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So what categories are y'all cooking this weekend? For all those that don't know what happens at Houston, what are y'all cooking?
It's chicken, ribs, and brisket. But you got to do, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Fred, but I believe you have to do it has to have a half chicken in the box, and then you can put parts in as well. But Houston's a different monster. You only get to cook 2 pieces of meat, so you could do like 2 half chickens or 2 whole chickens and 2 racks of ribs and 2 briskets. But like chicken box has to have a half bird and some pieces, right, Fred? Or it doesn't have to have pieces, but it can.
It doesn't have to have pieces, but I guess what Chris is saying is that they only let you cook 2 pieces of meat. Is that they actually go to your site and tag your meat. Okay. They put a metal tag on it to where you take 2 chickens or 2 chicken halves or whatever you wanted to turn in, and they're going to tag those. And when it comes time for you to box your turn in, there's going to be a representative on site making sure that those tags are still on that meat that you're going to put in that box. So it's 2 chickens, 2 racks of ribs, and 2 briskets.
So is San Antonio the same way?
No, San Antonio is a more typical Texas contest.
So they don't tag. So this is the only contest where they tag the meat then.
There's a couple others here in Texas. Some of the local, maybe some of the local rodeos that aren't sanctioned. Like Houston is not a sanctioned contest. Right. There's no sanctioning body. It's a Houston Rodeo. They do their own deal. So
San Antonio's a CBA now, right?
San Antonio was a Lone Star this year.
Oh, it was a Lone Star.
Yeah.
I was saying the same thing, Chris.
Yeah.
Who did y'all pick up? Didn't y'all just pick up somebody? CBA?
Austin Rodeo.
Yeah, Austin Rodeo.
Yeah, Austin is actually not this weekend's Houston. Next weekend's Austin Rodeo. So I know there's a bunch of guys coming for that one. I think we're at, I don't know, 220. I don't know if it's 226 or 262.
So it's rodeo season in Texas, it sounds like.
Yeah, it is rodeo. Every weekend there's a rodeo right now.
Man, and they're all big contests, right? It sounds like they all got big things going. And so can anybody get, like, I know you had, like, Chris, you had to get into Champions Row to get into Houston Rodeo, or you have to cook with somebody else, right? Are they all like that? Or how could Chris or I go cook Houston Rodeo? Or could I cook Houston Rodeo?
Yeah, you can't sign up.
There's 300 and some people, right?
Yeah.
Basically for Houston, you got to qualify for Champs Row, or you got to have one of these big corporate teams bring you in as a hired gun. That's kind of where it's got to this point. Like, registration's not even open. And it's got to the point that I think San Antonio and Austin, a lot of those are getting to that way too. I think they said San Antonio didn't even take registration this year. They just let everybody come back that wanted to come back, and they were full before they even tried to open registration. Isn't that kind of how it worked, Fred?
Yeah, so San Antonio typically used to fill up in a matter of minutes when they would open registration for normal registration. This past year they didn't even open it. So
and this is 300 plus teams.
Right, 300 plus teams. So this past year, the way they did it is that if you wanted to get a spot for this year, the one that just passed a couple weeks ago, you had to come in as a cash for what they call cash for kids participant, which basically is a sponsor. It's $1,200, $1,300. I forget what it is for your spot, and you had to pay those up front. I know they just called me a couple days ago about the Cash for Kids deal, see if I wanted my spot for next year, which I don't know if I do, but $1,300, man, that's pretty steep for a contest. So, but yeah,
for somebody like you though, there's a lot of publicity to be had, correct? I mean,
those guys, it's a fundraiser for those guys, man. It's San Antonio Rodeo. It's all about the money. It's a great contest. It's got a lot of history with it, but it's becoming a really corporate, kind of like Houston is now. And I foresee within the next year, maybe 2-3 years, it's going to be just it's going to be a Houston. I think they'll probably go unsanctioned too. There's no reason for them to be sanctioned other than, they're a qualifier for the Jack. But if they work something out with the Jack like Houston did, winner Houston gets automatic into the Jack. So they might be able to work
really?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah, people don't realize this thing is it's huge, and there's teams or corporations or whatever spending $300,000-$400,000 on events and parties, and it's like Fred said, it's a very corporate thing. Most of these Texas guys, as much as they'd like to win Houston, it's not necessarily their favorite event because it's kind of a mess. And for as big as it is and as long as it's been going, the first few minutes of me being here, I was like, man, they are flying by the seat of their pants already,
Yeah. And you'll quickly realize that if you're cooking Houston. Yeah. But, it all comes together somehow.
Yep.
But it's definitely.
It's interesting you talk about the corporate thing, right? And Memphis in May, right? I would say that's a big corporate. And it seems to be, I'm not saying it's going away. It's not going anywhere, but they are having struggles. It seems like, they're limiting the amount of teams that they're taking every year. It seems to be, they're trying to hold back. And now you've got these other contests that are going to be taken over. Memphis in May is always Memphis in May, right? But when they're only allowing past champions or past top 10s to be able to come in and compete and do things like that, it's going to be interesting to see how some of these big, huge contests keep going and what takes over and what's going to be next. I mean, it's interesting to me.
Well, it's one of those things too that these events become the public's favorite events. and like our most hated events.
Right.
Like I could, I can win any comp in the world, but people still walk in the restaurant and be like, well, have you been to Memphis in May? And it turns into like our most hated events that they love, or that's the only thing they hear about, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, I think and we all know Houston, right? And I'm sure everybody in Texas knows Houston. And it's like you said, all the KCBS guys know Houston, where San Antonio or Austin haven't been as big on the list for everybody else around. But what do you think some other big contests can do that? Like, do you think like Pusacue, for instance, after the Royal, trying to put up $75,000? What do you think? Like, what do you think where do they fit in the whole barbecue world of contests?
I think any event that wants to pay money is going to get big and continue to get bigger. I cooked Uvalde, Texas, a CBA down in Uvalde outside of San Antonio a little ways. And they're paying with like 30 grand or 35 grand or something like that. I think, Fred,
yeah,
but
25, I think. Yeah,
25. There was 150 teams there, man, and there was like tons of great teams, and like that event was just ran so well. And us KCBS guys probably aren't coming down for it. Well, I guess Brad was there and Reagan was there and I was there, but there's some events like that I think just have been around a long time and keep continuing to grow that become some of our favorite events. I mean, there's a good chance I come back to Uvalde just because it was such a cool event.
Yeah, Uvalde is an awesome event, man. And there's a bunch of them here in Texas that are that way, that, they're really good events and they always get a lot of teams. And, like Houston, San Antonio, we call them more corporate events because and I hate to say this and I might get some slack for it, but they've really forgotten where they came from, how they started. They were about, barbecue cooks and looking out for cooks. Now it's, looking out for the money, for the bottom dollar, right? Or the bottom line. Houston doesn't pay a single dime, man. Not a single dime. They never have.
The winners don't get paid anything?
Winners don't get paid nothing.
Mm-mm.
Zero.
You don't even get prizes, right? I mean, is there?
You get a trophy.
Oh, Michael.
You get a bow-legged cowboy.
A crooked leg cowboy. Yeah. But again, it's a lot of history in that contest, and it's bragging rights. You win Houston Rodeo is huge, man. So I'll cook it every chance I get. I've been invited many times by like some of these teams that are out there that want a ringer or want a hired gun or whatever you want to call them. But I told myself that I would never do it until I qualified for it, and this will be my second year. So.
I think that says a lot about barbecue, right? Like, yeah, we want the money, but there's something about winning the big ones. There's something about winning the big. I mean, yeah. Like Chris, you won a ton of money, right? At the Jack, or
so much money.
But you won the Jack, right? Like it's like the Jack. I mean, people always say you go to your restaurant because they've heard of the Jack. I'm sure. Hey, you're a Jack champion. You're whatever, and that. In the long run is going to be way more than that money ever was. But we do anyway. I don't know. I don't want to get caught up in that conversation.
Well, I think what it comes down to, is the best thing you can have as a barbecue cook is respect from your peers. Yeah. And I think the more majors you get under your belt, the more respect comes with that. I mean, everybody looks at Darren. He wins the Jack and then comes down here and wins Houston, and he's won the Royal and he's won all these giant majors, and he's considered the GOAT. And it's basically just because that dude's knocking down majors left and right, and it just comes down to respect. And I think we all have mutual respect when guys win these majors.
Yeah. Go ahead, Fred.
No, I totally agree with that. It's and as a cook who's always striving to get better, and I think you want to win these big ones, right? I think that's what it's about. Yeah, and money always helps. It always helps keep it keeps the wheels rolling, right?
You're not going to do it every weekend for nothing, but there you will do it every once in a while.
Yeah, if we were in this for the money, I mean, I think we're in it for the wrong reasons too, because there ain't no money in barbecue, not unless you're Chris Schaefer. But
right, we all know that. We all know that.
Or Dollar Store Fred.
Store Fred.
David says to be on Mount Rushmore, you've got to win the big ones, and I think there's so much truth to that. Right? I mean, like Darren. Right. And then you look at Brad. Brad wins all the time. But when they go out and win these big ones is when it becomes like what really put Brad on, team of the year, 3 or 4 years or something like that. But you go on.
I think Brad needed that. Brad was definitely considered one of the best competition cooks of all time. And then he hammers out, 3 team of the years and a Jack win and over a 4-year period. And you're like, all right, this dude may be the best ever,
Yeah.
and it was like, he went from one of the best ever to maybe the best with just knocking out a few of those really big wins.
Right. And it's amazing what that does. I mean, Bill Purvis says dollar store Fred. He likes that, Chris.
Yeah.
He's on
I'm going to get shirts made.
You got to put the Chewin the Barbecue Fat logo on there too, so everybody knows it's
as long as you pay for them.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever, we'll make it work, Chris. I'm always you know that.
We're talking about Houston though, and I took Phil Breeden's class this weekend, and talked to those guys about it, and it's like for KCBS cooks, especially guys in like the Midwest, Houston's like a unicorn to us. It's like it doesn't even exist. Guys like Fred will get asked to be hired guns every year. And, if Fred, Bill Purvis, or, Lee Hickle or Phil Breeden wants to cook Houston every year, they absolutely can for somebody. Us KCBS guys got to win the Jack or the Royal.
Right.
And so like Houston's so big to us because it's like a unicorn. It's like it doesn't even exist.
Yeah, I know. Adam Goutreau, Cajun Blaze, a couple years ago, he got to cook ribs the first time he ever did it, right?
Yep.
And he cooked for somebody. It was one of those deals where you cook for somebody.
Yeah.
But I think it was the same thing. It's like, man, I got this opportunity. I'm going to go take it because they don't come around to us.
Yep.
Right.
Adam won ribs too.
I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he won it. So I don't even know if anything happened after that. I don't even know if he got to cook it again.
I think he'll be there this year. I think I saw him post something. He's going to be here.
Okay, good. Yeah, he won. I mean, he's a great guy. Adam's a great dude. Funny guy.
Adam's one of those guys that if he wanted to commit to chasing points in any one sanctioning body, we would all be in big trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember having him on. We sponsored him for a long time, and it just got to the point where he only cooked 4 or 5 times a year. He's in the same boat I am. He's got kids in travel baseball and everything else. He doesn't get to cook. But if that dude cooked, man, we would all, like you said, he won every 1 or 2 times he went out. It was amazing.
I heard it. I heard a great Adam Goutreau story this weekend. They said that somebody saying he went deer hunting and killed a deer and threw it in the ice chest in the back of his truck and went to a competition. And he cooked the competition with the deer in the ice chest, GC'd the comp, and then went home and cut up the deer. I was like, I don't know how much truth is that story, but it is awesome.
It's hilarious. I mean, but yeah, he's just a great guy. He always cooks those mini pots too. But anyway, so Chris, what are you looking forward to the most here this year at Houston?
Man, just seeing it, honestly, it's just driving in today. You can see how big it is, but waiting to see everybody there is going to be crazy. I'm excited to really just see how I do. I've been cooking a lot of Texas events and practicing a lot and just seeing if my flavors will hold up. It's interesting. Like Fred said, they tag your 2 pieces of meat. They have an ambassador come over and watch you box to make sure that you're doing it. And they said every ambassador is different. So like my guy could tell me I can't sauce in the box, and another guy will let them sauce in the box. And so it's like everything's so different. So I'm interested in just running through the whole experience because it's from what I hear, it's just crazy.
Looks like Fred knows some of the ambassadors, so it looks like you might be in trouble there, Chris. I don't know.
Well, you could ask Fred.
He's got that grin going, like, I don't know.
I was trying to figure out if I could trim ahead of time, and I call Fred, and Fred's like, I don't know. Yeah, probably you can trim. And so I call Purvis, and he was like, I don't know, man. The guy I cooked with last year, they tagged right through the cryovac, and he had to trim around it. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. I call Phil Breeden, and he's like, no, man, I just usually trim it on site, and they just watch me trim it, and then they tag us. There's like 3 different stories. And then the ambassador, he sends me an email. I'm like, hey, can we have a phone call? He's like, yeah. I talked to like 45 minutes. And he's like, man, you can do whatever you want. He's like, you can bring it trimmed. You can trim it there. I'll tag it to the cryovac, whatever. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, dude, I get that you're the ambassador, but that does not sound like the truth because everybody said something else. So I brought trim meat, and if they turn it down, it is what it is, Well, I'll run into HEB.
I went through the rules today, and it says it cannot be trimmed. But yeah, because I'm fixing to trim my stuff tomorrow, and I'm like, should I not?
Hey, Fred, this is probably the worst time to ask you because there's people watching this. Can you bring me stickers from your shop?
I got you, bro.
Pre-trim ribs and
y'all just
pre-trim
stay on after
brisket.
the show and do whatever y'all want to talk about. Whatever you want to talk about, we can make this happen.
Yeah.
Don't need to get anybody. Don't need to get anything happen in trouble here on this one.
That's the beauty of me having my own shop, right? Like I can trim all my stuff and cryovac it and slap a sticker on it, and it'll be fine. Hey, that's the way I bought it, man.
So I need you to bring me stickers.
This is like bingo.
Yeah.
Help a brother out here.
Just say pre-trim brisket, dollar store Fred.
One will say tri-tip and pork butts or something.
Quail.
Frog legs.
Great. This is great. So, Chris didn't trim anything. He's just messing around with everybody. It's going to be good. Yeah. Fred, what are you looking forward to the most?
Man, Houston is one of those that it's kind of like the Royal, right? You get a bunch of people there that sometimes you don't get to see quite as often, and it's just Chris will experience it, but there's just so many people walking around, man, and every single big old, and these are huge tents. Chris probably saw some being put up already.
Yeah,
these tents are, I mean, they make the ones at the Royal look small. Those corporate parties at the Royal, they make those look small.
Yeah,
these are big tents, and they got private bands in them, the whole 9 yards, and there's a bunch of people walking around Friday and Saturday night, especially. I think the last time I cooked there was so many people there that we actually couldn't call out. Kind of like New Year's Eve sometimes when you're trying to make that call to family and loved ones, like there's no service, like the phone lines are all jammed up just because of the amount of people there. If you want to get an Uber ride out of there, good luck. It ain't happening. There's so many, there's just so many people there, and just looking forward to turning in some good food, man, and have it fall where it falls, right? Give yourself a chance, basically, not make any mistakes, and try to turn in the best product we can, and see what happens.
Susan Terry is on tonight. She says she will be judging chicken. So,
yeah.
All right. Good job, Susan. I don't know if that's hard to get into, but congratulations if you did or if whatever.
Hope she doesn't get mine. I've never cooked half chickens, so
they'll be delicious. Mark says they're portable nightclubs at all these different places.
Pretty much.
I was talking to Jimmy. I can't remember his last name, but I think he runs a lot of that stuff. And I was like, well, I need to go get some drinks and stuff. He's like, dude, we got all the drinks. We got more than you can imagine. He's like, our first round of beer was 2,000 cases. He's like, and that's like the first day. And I'm like, okay, wow, it's crazy. 2,000 cases of beer.
Some of these guys that have these private, parties, or the smaller ones are spending, 100, 150,000 just to put on the party for the 2-3 days. And those are the smaller guys. Those big tents, I can imagine $500,000, whatever they're spending to do it. It's stupid money, man.
The one Blaine's cooking for,
that's
it's huge.
Oh, really?
What is it? I drove by a cow something.
Holy cow. Yeah.
Holy cow. It is massive.
Amanda DeLuna said hello to both of you two. Hey, Amanda. Oh,
Armando.
Hey, Armando. No, I know. I'm just part of the show. Welcome to these guys. I'm just kidding. Oh, Lord. Watch Bill video on the Barbecue League. It helps. I promise. Holy cow. 600,000. Holy cow cookers.
Holy cow. That's probably what they spent on their tent. 600,000.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what Blaine was telling me that one year behind him there was a 200 by 60-foot tent or something, and they built a cedar deck around the whole thing and then just tore it down at the end of it. He's like, so they probably spent $1 million on their site.
Yeah. Armando, don't worry. I know my role in this whole thing. You don't have to feel sorry for not talking about me. These two guys are who's everybody here to watch. I understand completely. So Robert's going to be at Pitmaker on Thursday. Don't they have a big thing? I think I saw they have a big
Pitmaker has a big party every year.
Yep.
Yeah, those guys have an awesome party, man.
And then Jordan Kirkpatrick wants you to get 4 cases of Gatorade Zeros, Chris.
Yeah, that's what I need. That's my jam.
That's my jam.
I'm actually the most excited that I'm parked next to Fred. Usually Fred doesn't let me get that close to him. So I'm pretty excited
I'm
about
gonna
that.
turn my porch the opposite way of your porch.
The other way. The other way. And how many did you say is on Champions Row? 5?
5, and then the international teams are over there too.
Who was there? Who's on Championship Row?
Me, Fred, and Grant, and then I don't know the 2 Texas teams.
Yeah, it's me, Chris, Grant, Eddie Morales. He won Austin, and then
What's his team?
the Pit Father.
Pit Father. So I know Eddie. As soon as you said that, I know Eddie. He's a good dude. He's a good cook.
He's a good cook. Yeah, he really is.
He's on Champions Row, Chris.
Yeah.
He's one of those, like, I cooked the Hold 'em and Hit 'em in New Caney last month, and as soon as they said as soon as his music came on, I told my dad, I go, "You're going to hear this music a lot." He's one of those dudes.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Eddie. And then the previous winner, Houston, Sean, I forget his last name. They're the ones who won Houston last year. Hey, there'll be a lot of good food there, Chris, with the international teams, man.
Oh man, I'm excited. They were telling me there's the tent over next to or in between the international teams, just so they're going to have a bunch of stuff for us.
Oh yeah, there'll be a bunch of stuff, dude. Team Mexico always has, man, those guys seem like they cook all day, every day, like all kinds of stuff. So they'll be right there.
Brian Payton said, Chris, is that why a private security company called me and said not to go within 10 feet of the neighbor's trailer?
Yes.
So Fred's got a security out. He's already making phone calls.
Awesome. He's got the camera set up already.
So being on Champions Row, are y'all going to be like the famous people there? Like, is everybody going to know y'all and everything? Like, y'all can do whatever you want to, or what does that do? Like, are y'all have all access to anything, or
I'll let Fred answer that because I don't know.
I mean, we all live under Bill Purvis's shadow, but yeah, that's a whole nother. Mr. Chicken Fred. No, so Champions Row is, you definitely have to have passes to get into Champions Row, and that's the reason they want us there early. They want the trailers there early because I told Chris jokingly, they build a prison around us. Basically, they fence us in.
Yeah.
So Champions Row, nobody's allowed to go in there, not unless you have credentials to go in there. The Houston ambassadors and all that stuff, they can go in and out whenever they want, but the general public cannot. So
you will be kind of away from all the general public then.
We are right smack dab right in front of the center stage. So
yeah,
everybody's going to be walking in front of us.
We're kind of in the middle of everything, but you can't go in. Which is, I mean, it's kind of nice. Like, we've got our own sinks and our own porta potties and all that stuff. Like, the street is pretty nice. I did also hear that they're in talks to changing the name of that to Bill Purvis Row. But I can see that.
Bill wants to know if you can get him a pass, Chris.
I actually did get Bill a pass, and then when I got my packet today, they had no passes in it. This is the thing I'm talking about with Houston. I'm not really talking trash. They email me and they ask how many passes I need, and I send them 10 names of everyone I need. I get there, there's a pass that says Chris Schaefer, there's 3 that says Heavy Smoke, and he's like, "How much you need?" I said 10. He goes, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, we'll figure it out, it'll be fine." I'm like, Bill said he got your packet, Fred, and there was like 3 passes in it. Yeah. You and I got 10 each, you know. Yeah. It's just funny how they are. He's like, "Yeah, you need wristbands." He's like, "I don't have any on me, but like, yeah, we'll figure it out." And I'm like,
"Yeah,
okay."
It's Monday, right? Like, hey, you got a couple days to get it all figured out.
Yeah, I had a bunch of questions the first year I cooked it. I had a bunch of questions as far as turn-ins. Like, okay, like, what do we need to turn in? What, have chicken? Can it just be pieces? I could never get a straight answer, man. They would just read whatever was on the paper, and it's like, oh, but yeah, and it's a kind of a gray area, right? And nobody would give you straight answers. So yeah, it's kind of shoot from the hip type of deal.
Hey, that's where y'all do well. When you're as good a cook as you two, that's when you can do well.
As good as cook as Fred. We also, like, me and Fred don't have the same turn-in times and things, and so like, stuff's completely switched up because we have like one ambassador over at Champions Row and International. So like, they'll come to my spot for like 10 or 15 minutes while I'm boxing chicken and make sure I
watch you box.
Yeah, they're going to watch me box chicken and make sure I have my tagged meat and everything. And then they're going to go over to Fred and then watch him. And they're going to basically have 2 ambassadors kind of making their way down Champions Row. And then, like, Lee Hickle told me that, like, I don't even have to hit my turn-in time if I don't want. I just have to be there, like like while they're boxing, it has to be during a certain time. But if I turn in on like the next people's time, like that's fine too. Like you don't even necessarily have to hit your time. I'm just gonna turn meat in and hope it doesn't get dead last.
So, so we all not talk bad. We all have our issues with different sanctioning bodies, but now you're starting to see why these organizers have sanctioning bodies. So the competitors and everybody know what they're getting into, right? That's why CBA has been so successful, because you show up and you know, and you know what's going on. Brad said Robles by 40. I called it.
I think he's being modest.
I mean, is Brad going to be there?
No, I invited Brad. I got Brad a pass, and then he's like, I'm going to go to North Carolina and cook. I was like, cool. I'll give it to some random person. There'll be Brad Leininger for the weekend.
Some random that doesn't know how big of a deal that is. Like, hey, I'm Brad. Like, who's Brad, right? You don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm going to
$5
let
you
Rob.
can be Brad Leininger.
Who's that?
$5 and you can be Brad.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm going to let Rob from Rusty Pig. He's coming down to help Grant. I'm going to let him wear Brad's lanyard all weekend so he feels like somebody.
The ambassador had a Rio Valley shirt on.
Man, he wore it too early.
Oh man! All right, so how are you cooking, Chris? Because you've been St. Louis. What is it? What is St. Louis?
SLBS.
SLBS. So you were that, then you killed that. Then you came over. You killing KCBS. Now you're going to cook this unsanctioned. How are you planning on cooking? What are you doing different?
So I've been running CBAs all winter. And even though you can cook thighs in CBA, I've been running half chickens in preparation for this. And I worked pretty hard all winter on half chickens. And so I got a pretty good process dialed in for that. And then my brisket and my ribs, I'm just going to overcook them and make them taste like burning tires, because that's what they want in Texas.
Okay, Fred.
Burning tires.
What do you think about that, Fred? Is there any truth to that?
Man, if burning tires are winning, let's cook burning tires.
Burning tires, right?
I mean they just like I'm just finding that they're liking a little dirtier, but a little more backyardy food, and that I think KCBS and the Midwest are running pretty clean stuff, and I think they want
Dirty
a little bit more. Not even necessarily dirty. It's just, I'm trying to finish with pellets, to add a little layer of smoke on top of the sauce and some stuff like that. Because they're non-certified judges. And obviously they know great barbecue. And both the CBAs I've cooked with non-certified judges, I mean, they've been pretty spot on with their stuff. And I caught a couple bad tables, but like that's going to happen in any sanctioning body type thing. And but I think they do want their stuff a little bit more tender. And I think they want a little more smoke, and I think they're fine with it being a little uglier too. I think that they're pretty used to that backyard barbecue stuff, and you give them a chicken that's a little charred up. Like, I think they're pretty excited about it, where we're trying to make everything so pristine in KCBS. And I just don't think that really helps you too much down here. I'm probably wrong, but Fred would know.
Well, I think something to be said about, more backyardy looking food, right, is it might not look pretty, but I almost feel, and I've thought about this a lot, I almost feel that if they see something that's not so good looking in the box, but then it tastes great, it almost impresses them more, as opposed to something that looks really, really pretty and it tastes not so good. Like, kind of like, man, that looks great, and then they're like kind of let down, so they'll score you lower. I don't know if it makes sense in my head. I don't know if it makes any sense, but
that's one of my biggest Facebook pet peeves, when somebody posts a picture of their box and they're like, "How did this get a 7 in taste?" I'm like, because it looks great and probably tastes awful. We can't taste it on your picture.
Right. You can lick the screen and try, but it ain't gonna work.
I've tried, doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because I went to a class and Brad was at that class, and we were talking. We got into a deep discussion about it all, and it was like, they're like, yeah, they know what our food is like. No, like when the perfect food comes out, like when it looks absolutely perfect, their expectation is this has to be perfect. Whereas if something comes in and it's a little off, but it tastes absolutely dynamite, it's going to score better than that one that looks perfect that tastes the same, but their expectation, you beat the expectation on one, and then you met the expectation. So all of a sudden, it's what do you do with that? But anyway, that's a whole nother whole nother fun conversation that we've had in the past. But I think there's a lot of truth to all that.
Yeah, and I think presentation or appearance are always going to be weighted less than your taste and your texture. So I think if you can nail your taste and your texture and have somewhat decent looking food, I think you'll be okay.
Brian Payton said, if ugly food wins, I'm moving to Texas.
Come on
down, buddy. I can tell you this much though. I've practiced down here quite a bit, and I've practiced at home, and I cooked a couple CBAs, and I took Fred's class in January. I took Phil's class this weekend, and everything I'm seeing, people are turning in gorgeous food that tastes great. And I don't feel like anybody's like trying to make it look like garbage or anything. But Fred has no problem putting some char on that chicken and sending it. And Phil was the same way, and a lot of other people I've seen. And so I'm not going to be afraid to backyard it up a little bit, but I'm also going to make sure it looks as good as possible.
Tiger stripe.
Tiger stripe.
We also Bill Purvis, right? Bill Purvis's food looks perfect. Every box that he's ever posted looks like it's straight out of a magazine, right? And he's still winning. So there's always that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I made a pork box in New Caney that looked pretty good. I sent the picture to Bill. He tilted it, added a filter, and sent it back. And I was like, "That's the best box I've ever seen."
Yeah.
Whose box was that? Was that my box? I don't know.
Yeah, he took my okay looking box, he hit 3 buttons and sent it back to me. And I was like, "Wow, I get it now."
And he's got the auto save on those filters already.
Yeah.
And he can make us look like supermodels. I bet if you send him a screenshot of the screen right now.
We are all barbecue sexy.
That's a stretch. You for sure. Me not so much. I think Bill is actually adding to his Champs Academy videos a filter class. So go sign up.
Oh man. All right. So y'all got Houston this weekend. I can't wait to see it. See what happens. Is this one of those where you can't find out what the results are? Like, will anybody be able to tell who wins or does anything?
They'll post them like a couple days later.
Somebody's got a stream though, right?
Yeah, somebody will be going live.
Don't you think like
all the time? I would
there's
think
something like Joey Machado or somebody probably down here, don't you think?
Yeah, somebody will go live.
Do these awards take forever, Fred?
Yeah.
All right. So
one thing that's pretty unique about Houston is that before awards, the ambassadors come around with finalists banners. So they'll walk around and all the teams are out in front of their campsites or whatever and just hoping for those ambassadors to come and show up to their camp, right? Like give them a finalist banner. Basically, a finalist banner means that you're a finalist. You're in the hunt. You're in the running, right? So if you get one of those, you're going to get a call or an award or at least make the stage. Maybe not make top 3 or top 5 or whatever, but you'll make the stage. And for the rest of them, it's kind of a letdown. Like, I know I ain't gonna win nothing. Let's party.
Yeah,
let's stay at our camps and party.
Mark Suarez says that he'll go a lot if they have enough bandwidth, but there's not so much service out there. Bill said phone signal is not going to happen. Roy said that a couple days later we'll get it and he'll see y'all this weekend.
Fred, do you get a finalist banner for each category and the overall, or do they just bring you one finalist banner?
So I know that the last year I cooked it, OBR was next to me. They had GC the previous year, and they got one finalist banner only, but they actually finaled, I don't know if 2 or maybe 3 of the meats, but they only got one banner. I don't know if they've changed that since, because all the banner says is finalist. It doesn't say brisket finalist. It doesn't say.
Gotcha.
If I'm mistaken. I mean, I might be wrong, but
that banner could be in the overall, right?
That too, yeah.
So you could get like 3 11s and win the thing. The finalist is actually your overall,
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they only call top 10, right?
Top 10
out of 300 and some teams, they call top 10.
Right.
That's good.
So they line everybody up behind the stage. They chicken or whatever goes first, and they line everybody up behind the stage. They bring them up on the stage. And then once on the stage, they start calling, okay, 10th. And you're kind of just crossing your fingers and you're hoping it's not you getting called till the very end. But you get to make the stage, and there's all kinds of people there. And it's a cool stage to be on for sure.
CJ got 2 banners last year.
Okay. So yeah, I guess you do
Congratulations.
get
Who's CJ? Congratulations, CJ.
Clarence Joseph.
Clarence. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
He RGC'd it last year.
Top 10 go to stage, and they call top 3 only last year, I believe.
Yeah, so they change it every year, Chris. Well,
I don't know.
Yeah.
we'll be surprised this year.
We got comments over here. We got all sorts of people that are going to Houston, been at Houston. I can't wait to hear. I think this is awesome.
I've learned that just trying to figure out things about this event. Like every year it's different. Like it changes while you're there. It's like never been the same 2 years in a row. Everybody you ask is a different answer.
They might have 2 GCs this year. You never know.
Hey, you might RGC on Tuesday like Bill did at San Antonio last year.
That's right. Who knows?
Man. So what else y'all got going on? Houston's huge, right? Houston's a big thing for y'all. What else do you have going on this year? What are your expectations or whatever for this year? Chris, I'll let you start.
I'm not going to points chase like I have the last few years. I'm kind of excited about pulling back a little bit and getting some rest. I've cooked like 150, 160 comps the last 4 years, and I'm honestly just kind of worn out, So spend a little more time in the restaurant, spend a little more time with the family, and cook a handful of comps. But you know how that goes. If I get hot early, I'm in a points chase. So that's kind of the plan. My first one for KCBS will be Smoking on the Shores in Tennessee, and
Asheville.
then I'll hit probably every weekend for the next couple months, and then I'll probably pull back if I'm not in a position to chase.
Yeah.
I've got Houston this week. Next week I've got Austin Rodeo, which is another huge one. Then I've got a few others lined up. Summer, I'm probably going to take the summer off. We'll be on the beach June and July with the family, and this past year I pulled back a lot. I did still cook, but not quite as much as I have been. So I'm planning on doing the same thing. I've got a lot going on with CBA, so I am at a lot of contests, maybe not cooking them, but we are trying to push barbecue one way or another. So just trying to keep at it, man. I think my ultimate goal is to get back to the Jack, right, and try to win that thing. I joke with Bill. I said, man, if I could win Houston or the Jack, I'd hang up the gloves, call it done. Wow. Maybe cook 1 or 2 a year. And
so tell me, I know you're CBA. CBA is, and we just discussed this a couple of weeks ago with Bill and Roddy. But what do you see with CBA? Is it, for the year, is it going to explode again or?
Yeah, so we're on pace to outdo last year. Right now, I think last year we had, in our second year in existence, we had 120 events, 122 events, somewhere around there. Last year, in the calendar year. This year, we're probably looking, from what we have right now, and in the pipeline, we're probably looking at 130, 140, somewhere in that number. So hopefully we can, try to get bigger and better every year. Pay back as much money as we can at our end of year event, or ironically, it's the beginning of the year, right? It's in January, but, and try to grow that thing and make that event bigger and better. And, I think a big goal for us this year is to expand a little more. I think we're finally comfortable with our system and with our processes, and to try to grow outside of Texas. We've had one event in Louisiana. I actually had a promoter in Oklahoma reach out to me today about a possible event in Oklahoma. So we're always trying to grow, trying to get spread the CBA love everywhere, man. And ultimately, it's about barbecue, man, and it helps the cooks as much as it does the promoters and guys like you, Ryan, with barbecue stores, and it goes down the line to, you name it, grocery stores and pit builders. And if we can grow the sport and grow the love for barbecue, man, I think it benefits a lot of people.
Everybody.
I think the ABS should do a double on a first day KCBS, second day CBA.
Done.
You should do that. You should do that, Brian.
Let me see if I can't talk to the place. If not this year, possibly next year. That's something that I would love to do, that because I think y'all know me well enough to know that I really want barbecue to grow. I don't care what sanctioned body it is or what it is. I just want barbecue to grow because it helps, as you just said, it helps everybody.
Right.
So yeah, that would be cool. And Fred, I'm sure you could help me with it. So at some
Yeah,
point.
absolutely. And we're not trying to compete with anybody, man. We're not trying to compete with KCBS or IBCA or anybody else. We're just trying to, trying to spread barbecue, man. Trying to grow barbecue and take that approach and that angle and just stay in our lane, right, and do what we do and just talk to promoters and show them what CBA can do for them. Chris has been to a couple of our events, and he can probably tell you our awards are pretty lively and fun, man.
Yeah.
You got freaking walk-up songs. Like, you can
Yep.
pick your own song. If you get a walk, hey, they're playing your song, bro. You're walking
Well,
up to your song, your jam.
it's cool too because everyone for the most part keeps their same songs, and you get used to the songs. And like as soon as the song starts, you're like, here comes Phil, or here comes Bill, or here's East Texas Smoker. You know what I'm saying? And you start getting used to them, or Eddie. You know what I mean? You hear that music, and it's really fun. And you'd be blown away at the technology that CBA does with the QR codes and scanning boxes, and it's like impossible to get a box mixed up because they're scanning them and moving them, and they're standing up judges and like flipping them between categories and things. So you're never going to hit the same table of judges. And I mean, they're just kind of doing stuff, the right way. And you're still going to hit bad tables. You're still going to get bad judges just because it's any sanctioning body, but it's no more or less than anywhere else. But the technology that they have with scanning the codes and things like that is pretty awesome compared to other sanctioning bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all don't get off before we're done with the show. I'm going to have some questions to ask y'all about this. Y'all got my mind thinking about the ABS Classic now. So, but anyway, what, God, I'm sorry. I've been sitting here thinking like, our contest is after KCBS is done. Anyway, so what Wes Garrett said, serious question. What will be the moment that would make you decide you're done? Any particular event you'd win? Chris, is there an event that you would win that you're like, I'm out, I'm done? Or is it?
It's crazy because I feel like goals always change and you change and we mature as cooks and, what we wanted to do changes, right? And when I had, when all I had was the one KCBS Invitational, I was like, man, if I could win Team of the Year and win another major, I think I'd really pull back. And then, am I still there? Did I cut out?
No, I got you.
So I was like, if I could win one more major and Team of the Year, I'd pull back. And then we win the KCBS Invitational, and then we win the Jack, and now it's like maybe Houston, maybe the Royal. And so I think those goals are always changing.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's interesting. What about you, Fred? I know because I've heard you say it many times. I think you said it at Banjo when I saw you 2 or 3 years ago in Augusta, Georgia. You're like, yeah, if I win this, I'm done. Or you said it at the Royal. If I win this, I'm done. So is that cool? Or is that something that's serious or not?
I think I'm always going to love competition barbecue and the many friendships I've, been able to have because of competition barbecue. And I'm always going to want to cook. But I think, as hard as I've ran, and to qualify to the Jack out of Texas with your 7 is stupid hard, and my respect to those guys who have done it. And to qualify really anywhere with 7. But I think Texas is especially hard because you have to have 50 teams at a contest. It's not a blanket state. Either you have a state championship proclamation or you have to have 50 teams for it to be considered a qualifier. So to win 7 out of Texas is really hard. And that in itself requires a full year of running hard in Texas or anywhere really. So for me to win the Jack would be really really one I could say, you know what, I can now slow down. I don't have to go out and look for these qualifiers to get back to the Jack, So to me, that would really be the one that I would want to win now. And for a while it was San Antonio Rodeo. I was like, man, if I could win San Antonio, and luckily I was, I got lucky last year and then won that, and it's an awesome win. And I think, Houston, I'd love to win it, but I'd really like to win the Jack for sure. And I think as I'm getting older too, my kids are getting older. I think priorities change, right? and that's just life in general. So I've been very blessed by barbecue and what I've been able to accomplish and what I've been able to do, and I don't feel like I have anything left to prove, honestly. I think my track record speaks for itself, and just to get out there and do other things through barbecue, kind of like what we're doing with CBA right now. I think that would fulfill that void of not doing competition. So
I feel like winning the Jack has allowed me to be okay with just not chasing or doing other things. Like if I want to go to Texas and cook some CBAs, I'm not worried about missing KCBS points. Or if I want to fly out to California and cook a comp instead of cooking in my backyard, like I could do some stuff like that and just kind of have more fun because winning the Jack, I feel like that pressure's off. Like I've hit the big one. You know what I mean?
Yep,
awesome.
For sure.
So Fred, think about the everyday cook, right? What would be the contest that you would say come to Texas and cook? Because we can't cook Houston, we can't cook San Antonio. Not sure Austin's an option.
Yeah, Austin is open to anybody.
Go
ahead,
I could answer that question for Fred.
Okay, you
can come down and cook their world championship for CBA in Seguin. Like anybody can cook that, right, Fred?
Yep. Well, you have to be a member, but if you're not a member, it's $50. So that's
the thing, man. I mean, they paid a ton of money, and they had like literally all the best teams in CBA there. I think that'd be a fun one for anybody to come down and cook.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a fun contest, man. We have our cook-off. It's kind of like KCBS does, where they have their cook-off and their banquet all on the same weekend. We do the same thing. So it's we paid right under $50,000 this year, just in prize payouts, and then the trophies and all that good stuff too, right? But then we had our banquet. But yeah, that would be one in Seguin, centralized Texas, and you can go and get the burnt bean, man, as a bonus.
Yeah. There you go.
I ate so much food at Ernest's place. I didn't eat for like 12 hours after eating at Ernest's place, dude. I was so miserable.
You ate too much.
Too much.
I own a barbecue restaurant, and I left there saying I just ate at the best barbecue restaurant I've ever ate at.
Yes, sir.
Mark said Austin is still small enough to enter. So I guess if you were looking to get in a rodeo, you go cook Austin Rodeo would be one.
I don't know if it's small. 200 plus teams is.
Well, he said small enough for an everyday guy to get into.
Well, they shut it down this year. They weren't expecting as many as they got. They had to shut down registration. So who knows going forward if that's going to continue or not. But there's definitely some great contests.
266 at Austin.
How many?
266.
266. There you go. That's huge.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I love it. And Chris,
somebody said smoking on the Rio is great, but that smoking on the Rio is about 35 hours from my house.
Man, I know a guy
who wants to go all the way down there, right, Chris? I mean, come on.
What's funny is I was talking to Fred about flying in and getting some drums, and then I seen it was on Super Bowl weekend, and I was like, the restaurant's going to need me.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
that was
Humble
a good
Rodeo.
contest.
How many rodeo contests are there? Humble Rodeo is good. Bill said that
don't go to Humble. Do not go to Humble.
Smoking on the Rio, man. Smoking on the Rio is a good contest. There's 200 teams here this year.
That is awesome. All right, so Chris, your home state. Where would you recommend somebody cooking in the Midwest? The contest.
Man, there's so many good comps. The Royal obviously is always awesome. And anybody can get into that one. And the Royal is so cool. It's like the only place you'll see all of your friends from all over the country at the same time. That's great. And then, there's a lot of those. We have so many in the Midwest. There's just a lot of great events. It's hard for me to pinpoint any of them. There's a lot that I think in like Illinois area that are really great, well-ran comps that don't get the love that they need because there's not as many Illinois teams that if we could get some out there. Also, Fred, there's one in Ohio, I believe, in April that is the only one in Ohio. So the winner will get an automatic to the Jack.
Yeah.
Hint, hint, wink, wink. See you in April.
When in April?
I think it's towards the end.
Towards the end. Yeah. We had Emmeline on last week. Thanks, Chris. It's like 8. It's the same weekend as the one in that Mark Porter's putting on in Mississippi. So
that's an auto.
Supposedly, yeah,
As
it's
of
the
right
only
now,
one
it's
in
the
Ohio.
only one in Ohio.
And
I'm looking at my wife over
I was
here.
gonna say, are you looking at Yachty right now?
I'm looking at my wife. She's
I
looking
hear
at
Ohio's beautiful in April.
She just walked in when you guys were talking about Ohio.
There she is. AM1, April 28th and 29th. Where in Ohio?
28th and
Marietta,
29th.
Ohio. Let's go. Bill Purvis said, let's go. And one, I told you I was going to do my best to get that going. Chris is a huge, oh, jeez.
Uh-oh, we lost Brian.
Did we lose Brian? Yeah, get Yachty up there. I'm not going to cook that one because I would feel like a giant jerk if I'm already cooking the jack and I want it. So I'm not going.
You're back, Brian.
Is he?
I'm back. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I hate this show. It's
Chris
the
tried to
Dollar
kick
Store.
you out, bro, but I told him to bring you back in.
Chris, thank you. Chris, he heard me say thanks, Chris, for being the Barbie, and then he took over. No, Chris has always been a very big fan of the show and helped me. I can talk to Chris and know that he's going to shoot me straight. But yeah, thank you, Chris, for pushing that.
I'm about the most honest guy you'll ever meet, whether you like it or not.
Exactly. It's awesome. Yeah, he's Wes Garrett said go to Ohio. So anyway, guys, we've been on for an hour. I've taken up enough of your time. It's a big week for y'all. I know y'all are busy. Well, Chris said he didn't have anything to do until Thursday. So
I'm sure Ohio is probably only maybe like 40 hours for me.
Yeah.
halfway compared to the rest of them, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I bet I could get you set up. The thing is, Ohio's probably that counts probably 8 hours from me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That'd be awesome. So real quick, my gosh, y'all have a ton of barbecue contests in Texas. Humble Rock Road SLBS contest. I don't know what that is. That might be yours, Chris. Alvin Rock Road.
Yes, that's an SLBS event that is right in St. The Rock Road one's right in St. Louis, and it pays like $25,000. It's an SLBS.
Uvalde, golly, there's a lot of them. But anyway, apparently I'm having bad issues again on the Dollar General show of barbecue. But anyway, guys, thank you all so much. Hope y'all enjoyed this show. I cannot wait to hear the results for Houston. So I'll be calling y'all. Let me know because I'm sure I'm not going to be able to figure it out. Good luck to everybody. All y'all out there going to Houston, wherever you're cooking. If you're going to North Carolina this weekend, good luck. Can't wait to hear all the results. It's going to be great. Thank y'all for coming on. We will see you next week on Chewin the BBQ Fat. Thanks, everybody. You two stay on.